Hi everyone and welcome to today's episode. I'm super excited to welcome you to the guy I've just been talking with before. We did an interview for half an hour, Dr. Ian Smith. In my opinion, Ian Smith is the best guy out there right now in terms of intermittent fasting and using that as an approach for weight loss. Ian knows everything behind the scene, what happens, research, everything inside the body, but also how you make it sustainable and how you can use it for everyday people there, right? Ian Smith is also a best-selling author. He's been writing the books Clean Lean, Fast Burn, and now out with his new book, Wolf Point. Ian and I, we went deep on sort of like the topics around intermittent fasting, the best approaches, but more so how you can incorporate that and make it sustainable for you. So kick back right now. We had a half an hour interview with each other. Let's go, legend. Good stuff, my man. Well, you and I, we've been talking together for a while right now. A little bit back and forward on Instagram and that sort of thing. And obviously, I've seen what you've been doing with some of the other guys out there in terms of your work within the health space and that sort of thing there. So I've seen a lot of what you're doing. I've been looking into your books and seeing your podcasts and all this sort of stuff that you've been doing, man. So you're awesome. You're really awesome in the space of obviously the health and intermittent fasting and that sort of thing. So for people that might not have seen you before, kind of like what get you started in that field and who are you and that whole thing there.
Well, I've been doing health and wellness for a really long time. I don't want to age myself, but when I was training as a physician, I also started doing media at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was doing TV for NBC. When I first started, I wrote a column for Time Magazine, which you may know. So I was a columnist, and I was training as a physician, and I was doing TV. So that really started my career in medical journalism. And then when I was writing my column for Time Magazine, a publisher approached me and asked me, would I be willing to write some books? And I said, sure. And they gave me the option to write whatever books I wanted to. And because when I was writing my column, I got so many questions about weight loss.
Yeah.
I said to the publisher, I got to do something on weight loss because so many people have questions about weight loss.
Yeah.
And so that started me doing weight loss books. And I've been doing them ever since. And so I do TV still, and I write health. I also actually started writing novels. So I do 2 books a year. I do a health book in April. I do a murder mystery type novel in the fall. So my next one will be in October. And so that keeps me busy.
Man, I've seen what you're doing. Like the shift you're doing. Like you're gonna write a lot of books. So obviously, you don't have like the classic scenario of the guy that was overweight and got maybe bullied, and like that was the sort of like the reason why you were so sort of like concentrated on the weight loss space.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just the opposite. So I'm a guy who's always been athletic. I've always been a sportsman. I've always been in shape. I've always enjoyed being in shape and being physical. I wasn't doing it when I was younger because I thought it was healthy. I was doing it because I wanted to be a better athlete.
Yeah.
Obviously, the good news about that is as I got older, I realized, wow, being physically fit and eating well also is good for my health as I age. Yeah. And so I really kind of fell into it. So no, I don't have the inspirational story that I was overweight and I went through, this process. But what I do have is a lifelong understanding of what it takes to be fit. I understand how difficult it is always to be on your game. So I try to impart that to people in their journey to help them understand some of the obstacles that they may face and how to overcome them on the weight loss journey.
Got it. Yeah. So in terms of the whole intermittent fasting, because obviously I've been in the space for many years myself, and I'm a little bit like yourself, like don't have the classic, overweight guy scenario sort of thing. I've always been active and played high level sport and that sort of thing there. So, the whole intermittent fasting thing, as you obviously have been writing books around there, like why intermittent fasting and why did you see the intermittent fasting was kind of like the way to go in order for people to lose weight, and also, in terms of the majority of the people, because obviously you're seen in the weight loss space and the health and fitness space, like there's a lot of different ways we can do it, and majority of the people are still overweight. So why intermittent fasting,
I got into intermittent fasting actually by accident. So one of my friends my golf partners who played basketball for the NBA for 17 years, one day we were on the golf course and he wasn't eating. And we typically eat when we're, something, snack or something. He wouldn't eat anything. He had this gallon of water. And I said to him, what are you doing? Like, why are you not eating? Like, we were at a point in our round where we typically got, a snack or something. And he said, I'm doing this thing where I only eat a certain number of hours and then I fast for the other hours. I thought it was a religious thing, to be honest with you. And it turned out, once he explained it to me, that he was doing intermittent fasting. So that was my real first kind of introduction to someone who I knew doing this concept that was kind of out there, we thought was out there, called intermittent fasting. So of course, like I always do, I'm always a student. I researched really heavily, what was he doing? What is intermittent fasting? What is the science behind it? Yeah. And after reading all the data that I could get my hands on and some of the experiences that people had, I realized that not only is intermittent fasting backed by real credible science, but it also is extremely effective, not just for weight loss, by the way, reduces inflammation, helps with cognitive clarity. It helps, burn fat, obviously. It helps with asthmatic symptoms, all kinds of things that intermittent fasting was doing. And so, I said, listen, I want to not only study this, but I want to see if I could take it and present it in a way to my audience, to my followers, so that they could understand it. And thus, I started doing my books. My first book with intermittent fasting is a book called Clean and Lean, which is a combination of clean eating and intermittent fasting. The book that just came out this April is called Fast Burn, which is a 9-week program that uses all the types, not all, but 2 of the major types of intermittent fasting, which is the time restricted feeding, which is the eating window and the fasting window. And then the other major type is the 5-2 intermittent fasting, 5 days of relatively normal eating, 2 days of low calorie eating. And so that's what my most recent book is all about.
Right. So just so everybody understand, what's the differentiator in them and what's the benefits of them? Because if people are doing that like 5-2, it kind of like seems like more normal for people to sort of like wrap their head around. So what's the 2 health benefits in them? Because obviously I've also heard people are doing like 24 hours, like sometimes they're doing like full days of it.
Yeah, most of the research has been on time restricted feeding. The idea that you take your 24-hour day, you divide that up into a feeding window and a fasting window. Yeah. That's what most of the research has been based on. As far as the 5-2 and the other methods, what you're describing, by the way, is called every other day fasting. 24 hours fast, eat, 24 hours fast. And from what my research has shown, there really isn't a lot of data to say how effective those measures are. I believe they're effective, by the way. It just doesn't have the volume of research that the TRF, or time restricted feeding method, does. So from a health benefit standpoint, there are probably differences. And that's hard to say exactly what the differences are because more research needs to be done on the other methods. But what I will say is this, from a practicality standpoint, I think that the time restricted feeding, the fasting window, eating window method is better than the 5-2 method because the problem with the 5-2 method is that people tend to think that the 5 days of normal eating, they can eat anything. And so they consume an inordinate amount of calories during those 5 days because they think that when they do those 2 low calorie days, it makes up for it, and it doesn't. Yeah. No matter what you're doing, the old-fashioned rule of weight loss remains the same, which is calories in must be less than calories out. Yeah. And so think about it. If you consume 4,500 calories, on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then you do 800 calories on Thursday, the drop to 800 calories is not going to make up for you eating, right, all those calories that you just had. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work that way. Exactly. And so what I advocate for people is that try the time restricted feeding. You're less likely to binge. It's more, it has greater structure, so you can fit into your structure. And you avoid those moments when you're on a normal day of eating and you want to eat pizza and fries and burgers all in the same day.
Yeah, you're
That's
more
going to blow.
consistent sort of thing.
Yeah, that's going to blow your diet no matter what you're on, unless you're on keto, I guess.
Yeah, go to Macca's, take the bun out, just do the fat and cheese. So obviously, like a big portion of what I do and what I'm teaching inside the sort of like the fitness aspect of my work with clients is, the old school thing, calories in, calories out, but also the way of, not weaken our body, but strengthen our body, meaning strengthen our metabolism and getting enough nutrition in to actually like be able to handle whatever we're doing in terms of training and nutrition and that sort of thing. Because I probably, you're probably seeing the same, like, let's just paint a picture. Like the typical lady, whatever, she's 35, 40 years old, she's going to the gym, she's on the treadmill, and she's doing a bunch of cardio for 6-7 times a week. And she might be on a calorie restricted diet on 1,500 calories or whatever, and she doesn't lose weight anymore. What would you say to those people that kind of like have tried a lot of different things? They might be in that category of maybe overdoing and under eating. How do you talk to them in terms of like intermittent fasting and not letting them kind of like maybe over fast themselves, and then when they then eat, they might only get like 5, 6, 7, 800, maybe 1,000 calories? What do you say to those people there? Because I think a lot of them out there are doing that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. What a great question. People tend to think that when something is good, that if they do more of it, that it's going to be better. And that's not always true. Yeah. Yes, when something's good, more of it can be better, but up to a point. Yeah. Right? Then there becomes a point of diminishing returns, and then you move into a phase of it becomes counterproductive. So people who are at the extremes of both sides, whether consuming calories or restricting calories, those extremes tend to be counterproductive and not in any way, shape, or form healthy. And so I tell people all the time that, some people want to do like a 4-hour eating window and a 20-hour fast. I mean, that is extremely rigorous to your body. And it's very few people can get away with that. Really, really well-trained athletes could probably do something like that. But the average person trying to do that type of IF schedule would be very, very difficult. And so I caution people all the time about being patient and not thinking that by over accelerating what you're doing, that you're going to get faster results, because you're going to get results, but then it becomes unhealthy. And it also becomes unsustainable, right? You don't want to do a program where you can't sustain the program, because the minute you get off the program, then guess what happens? All of the achievements and all of the progress you made, it starts to slide back. Yeah. So my caution to people all the time is when they talk to me and they say that they want to do something really aggressive, I discourage them from doing it. And I say to them, let's challenge yourself, but let's not do it to the point that you're tipping over the line of extremism. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So it's obviously, I think a lot of people are, there's at the extreme, and then you also have a lot of people that kind of like have tried like everything. Keto, they've done a bit of fasting, like they've done a lot of things. So what would you say is kind of like the sweet spot and the best approach if they're like, okay, I want to use intermittent fasting. I want to make sure that I get enough calories. And maybe also a little bit on the training side, what is sort of like the best match to build up a healthy body? It's sustainable, and you start losing weight and more or less like you're healthy doing it.
I think that the first thing people need to do is figure out what their goals are. You have to define your goals, because depending on what your goals are, then you need to match the program with the goal, not the other way around. Yeah. And so if someone says, I want to just lose weight really fast, then you choose, for example, intermittent fasting. You choose it to do it with clean eating, and you choose a really aggressive schedule. You choose maybe a 16-8, 16 fasting, 8 eating, or even an 18-6. So that would be that case. If you're someone who says, hey, I want to lose weight, but I also want to increase muscle tone, right? And I want to build muscle. That's a very delicate dance you have to play.
Yeah.
Because typically the things that you do to lose weight are actually antithetical to the things you do to build muscle, right? To build muscle, you increase your calorie count. To lose weight, you decrease your calorie count. To build muscle, you want to make sure that you are not only consuming a lot of calories, but exercising and lifting weights around those calorie consumption, and you want to avoid burning off too many calories, right? When you lose weight, what do you want to do? You want to burn calories. So sometimes those two things are at heads. But what I say to people is this: the answer to that is do it in a phased approach. If you have 40 pounds to lose, for example, say to yourself, my first phase is to lose 10 pounds. I'm not going to worry about building muscle. Let's lose 10 pounds. Then the next phase is keep that 10-pound weight loss and now build lean muscle mass without gaining weight. So if you stagger what those goals are rather than trying to do them at the same time, then you can do it. The last option would be someone just simply is trying to gain muscle mass, right? And that's a whole different ball game. And I get this question even though I talk about weight loss all the time. I get a lot of questions about how do I gain weight? How do I gain good weight, muscle weight? And the answer, unfortunately, is you have to increase your calories, you have to increase your protein intake, and you have to increase your resistance training. That is resistance bands or workout. You have to damage the muscle, exhaust the muscle in order for it to grow. Some cardio, but not too much cardio, because you really need to bulk up. So I think that the bottom line is that people need to look at what their goals are and match the program that will help them achieve those goals.
Got it. So basically what you're saying is obviously number one, the training approach around it. If you want to build muscle, obviously you're going to have more resistant training. If you want to lose weight faster, more aggressive on the intensity. And then also what you're saying in terms of like the window, which kind of like leads me to the other question. So I've heard sort of like the sweet spot of fasting kind of like kicks in around 12 hours. I don't know if that's correct sort of thing. But what would you say to sort of like, what would be, for people that are doing that fasting, maybe they're just doing a little bit lighter. They might do 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, maybe 16 or 18 hours. People that do that, what are sort of like the best approach to, first of all, break the fast? And then what are sort of like the nutrition afterwards there to sort of like compensate for everything there? What's the best way to grab onto the diet there without being too strict?
My first advice to people who are just starting is to do a 12-12 schedule. That's the beginning point. That's easy to do. Half of your day you can eat, half of your day you're not going to eat. And think about it. Let's just make it up. Let's say someone starts eating at 9 in-the-morning. That means they can eat from 9 to 9 p.m. at night. That's a very generous window to eat all your meals and snacks. And 9 p.m., most people are settling down to go to sleep anyway. So most of your fast is going to be while you're sleeping anyway. So I advise people to start with a 12-12. People ask, well, what's the best way to break a fast? Well, if you're trying to lose weight, the best way to break a fast is to give yourself fast carbs. So you need to get carbohydrates because you've been 12 hours of not having any food energy whatsoever. So you want that. And then you want to make sure you have protein and then fiber. Those are the three things I think are the best way to break a fast. And I think that when people do that, they avoid those periods where they're gorging on too many calories at once. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my answer about how do you break the fast. From an overall nutritional standpoint, I recommend that people, number one, reduce the amount of processed ingredients. People eat too many processed ingredients. And even foods, even foods that are low in calories, they can have a lot of processed ingredients. And just because a food is low calorie, it can still be bad for you with processed ingredients, because research has shown that processed ingredients can actually affect your hormonal system, which can be a problem for a lot of people. Okay. So I recommend cleaner foods, less processing, more protein, Very few people get enough fiber per day, by the way. It's typically for adults about 28 grams of fiber.
And what's sort of like three good ways they can get more fiber? What's some ingredients that you are putting in there to get more fiber?
Anything leafy greens, salads, spinach, kale, arugula, beans and other legumes, chickpeas, lentils, kidney beans, all those things. And then of course, fruit, fruit is high in fiber. So those are three easy ways to load up on good natural fiber.
Yeah. So if you let's say you're breaking a fast and you say fast carbohydrates, protein and fiber, like a good way to break a fast would be like a light meal or even like a smoothie with like berries and fruits, some kale and that sort of thing, and then like some sort of protein source in it. That's a great way to break.
I think smoothies are phenomenal to break. You can put so much in smoothies. You can put, fruits, vegetables, protein. I mean, carbs, everything is in there, and it's easy. It's portable. I'm a big fan of smoothies. In fact, all of my books or most of them have great smoothie recipes. I tend to like sweeter smoothies. But even my green smoothies, I make them sweet. But let me make this recommendation to people, which is you want to make sure that your smoothies and protein shakes are 350 calories or less. You don't want a 600 calorie smoothie or a 600 calorie snack, a shake. It's too many calories. It should be 350 or less, and it will still be filling at that calorie count.
And why do you say that? Why is that? Because a normal meal is, around those like 500, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Let's think that, for example, let's say we're going to eat 1,500 calories over the course of the day. We're going to have 3 snacks and 3 meals, over 1,500 calories. Well, you can't have three 500 calorie meals and then still have 3 snacks. You're over 1,500 already.
Yeah. So let's say you're doing your fasting. Let's say you're doing 16 hours and you're doing. Would you, because there's also different opinions around when you stop at nighttime, would you stop like at normal dinner time and then just go until the next day lunchtime? Or would you stop later at night and then go all the way through to later afternoon? Like what do you personally do there?
Ask the question again, sorry.
Like so some people have an opinion about like you're eating as late as possible, right, up to around midnight sort of thing, and then you're going fasting all the way through to like 4 o'clock. And some people just eat dinner at normal time, 7 o'clock. And then they go on to lunchtime, and that's where they're breaking the fast. There's not really anything there.
And you need to try to eat all the way up into your fasting window. Let's say you start fasting at 10 p.m. You need to be eating something, close to it, because you're going to spend the next 12 or 14 hours not taking in any food. So you want to have that food injection right up to the minute that you stop eating so it can last longer. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's very important. Now, I also, though, believe that if you can, for people who are just starting, you should try not to have no meals within 2 hours of going to sleep. You can have a snack. Snack should be 150 calories or less. For the same reason why I say you look at the meal count for the day, you don't want a 300 calorie snack. I mean, you can't have 300 calorie snacks, which is 900 calories. And then you got 600 calories left over from your 15, and you got 3 meals with 600 calories. That's 200 calories. So it's inverted. Your snacks become meals. Your meals become snacks. And by the way, people make a big mistake with snacks. That's where people actually pack on extra calories, is they're not disciplined with snacks. And all my books have snacks for them, broken up 100 calorie snacks, 150 calorie snacks. But the idea is your snacks, sometimes you can have fun and have sweets and cookies. I like cookies too. But you really should try to get the protein and fiber in your snacks, because the protein and fiber combination makes you feel full longer. And so I call it strategic snacking, where you strategically select or create snacks that are going to keep you full longer and also prevent you from having hunger pangs between meals. The idea behind a snack is a bridge between meals. That's all it is. You want to bridge yourself. And so some people, unfortunately, eat a meal and then they eat a snack so big it's a meal. And so now you're effectively having 4 or 5 meals in a day, and you're just not going to be able to lose weight that way.
Got it. So you saying like, so obviously if you do the 8-hour window and you do 3 meals and 3 snacks, that's like every hour and a half sort of thing.
Yes. And let me tell you something. People ask me this all the time. You probably cannot get in 3 meals and 3 snacks in 8 hours unless you reduce the size of the meals, which you can do because you're going to be eating almost every hour. So you don't need to have a huge meal. You know, your stomach is okay with you having a smaller meal. And I think that's the important part, is that people, if they're going to try to get all those meals and snacks in that small window, either one, delete a snack or make your meal smaller. That's the only way to get it in.
So what if people just eat like 3 meals? Like I've seen a lot of people that just go 2 meals, 3 meals, like, and that's it. And then they try to hit 15.
I'm okay with 3 meals. I worry about 2 meals. You know, I don't know if 2 is enough, right? Because you also don't want to have extreme calorie deprivation for too long of a time either, because that can affect your metabolism over the long term. So you don't want to live on, 900 calories every single day. Doing it sometimes is fine, but doing it every day, if you're an active person, that's a really small amount of calories. And it's not enough to fuel your body for the activities you're probably demanding of your body.
Got it, yeah. Yeah, because you see that, you probably try that yourself. Like it's the same for me, like you're busy with work and like you might miss a meal and you get into a phase where you're just like, you don't have the same intention on, maybe getting all the meals right and that sort of thing there. So I see with a lot of clients out there, and including myself in periods, like our appetite decreases, like we forget to get a meal and then it becomes another meal and that sort of thing. And we almost get into that phase of like just being comfortable eating whatever they eat, 2 meals or 3 meals, but we just plateau. Like we don't have the same energy, we don't have the same pump in the muscles, like everything is just kind of like stagnant. What do you say is the sort of like the best way for people to kickstart everything again, where they might have hit a plateau or they're kind of just like running around being comfortable right now? They might even do fasting, but they're sort of like still staying at the same sort of like place they're at right now.
The body, in order for the body to make progress, it has to be shocked. In order to break through a plateau, you have to shock the body. How do you shock the body? You change up the types of food that you eat. You change up when you eat. You change up the amount that you eat, and you change your movement, your expenditure, the other side of the equation. So there's calories in, there's calories out. You change both of those equations. Reduce the amount of calories, increase the amount of expenditure of energy through exercise or physical activity. That is the only way I know to bust through a plateau effectively, because I learned a long time ago on one of my TV shows. I was telling the celebrities on Celebrity Fit Club, I was telling them they were doing the same thing and they were losing weight and all of a sudden it stopped. And they said, well, Dr. Ian, I'm doing the same thing I did for the last 2 weeks. My answer to them was, it's not that you're doing something wrong. You need to do a different right.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the body's natural impetus is to not want to lose weight. The body wants to conserve energy. The body doesn't want to burn. That's energy expenditure. The body doesn't want to do that. The body wants to sit on a couch. This is true. The body wants to sit on a couch and just veg out, conserve energy. It wants to conserve energy. And so what you need to do is realize that when you're overworking the body's going to fight back. The body's saying, I don't want this. You're killing me. It's screaming. So it's going to do everything it can to stop you from causing it to be chaotic. And what it does is, when you do the same thing all the time, the body gets used to it and it fights back on you. And therefore, what was working before no longer works. And that's why you have to change it up.
Adjusting it, yeah. No, I love that. I'm writing a lot of notes there, because that's basically, shock the body, type of food, time, amount, and then movements, right? That's a recipe that people can, like, they can look at and be like, okay, what do I need to do? What do I need to change, right? And then, as you said, like maybe start with 1 or 2 of the things and then see how you go again, and not like, as you said in the beginning, throw everything at it and go extreme, right? Yeah. No, I love that, man. Because again, like I was doing some research. I saw the health industry and the health and wellness industry today is $4.4 trillion industry. And that will go up to around 7 trillions by 2025. It's a huge industry, right? It's a huge industry. But we just still see the majority of the people suffer with it. Like, so the information is out there.
Yeah, I think that, there are a lot of things happening in life. People are distracted. There's a lot happening. People are stressed, and they're stressed for all kinds of reasons: business, relationships, financial, whatever, work. And I think that, it's difficult to be focused on just health and wellness when you have all these other things that are pulling at you. And I think what people have to learn is they have to learn how to make all of this work together. They have to realize that being healthier and feeling better actually feeds into them being happier and reducing their stress. So people have to mentally buy into the fact that health and wellness is not just about, avoiding disease or living longer. It's also about being more present. It's also about making life easier for yourself, making you able to withstand different types of pressures. And I think that's a mental, switch that people need to make in life. I, as a doctor, can say to you, listen, eat less salt because I want you to reduce your risk of high blood pressure and reduce your risk of a heart attack and stroke. But that may not compute to some people. Someone says, I'm 30 years old. I'm not worried about a stroke or a heart attack. So you have to be able to explain to people why healthier lifestyle changes are important for where they are at that moment. So for a 30-year-old, it may be eat less salt because it causes a water retention and it will bloat you, right? And you don't want to look bloated when you're going out on Saturday night. You want to look the best you can. Yeah, that's a message to them that they may relate to. And if they agree with that, and if they act like I want them to act and reduce their sodium, they still are reducing the risk for blood pressure. I'm just not leading with that as a motivational factor.
Yeah, like the good selling point in internet marketing is give them what they want, so you can give them what they need.
Correct. That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. No, it's powerful, because you can see you guys like you and I, we're in it. We know the sort of like the bolts and everything that goes behind it. But majority of the people, they're just like, they're not bought into it. They're like, yeah, it sounds cool, but like, yeah, it will work for them. So I love what you're saying there. It's really sort of like leading with the why. Like, why is it important for them to change, and sort of like build upon that, maybe that pain factor in terms of the things that they fear, things that they want in life.
Yes. And I always say you have to meet people where they are, not where you want them to be. Right. I want you to be at a certain place, but I can't behave like you're there already. I need to meet you where you are and then help you get to that place where I want you to be.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I think it is. And I think, and what you do and what I do, which is to help people and empower people. I think that is, if people use that and remember that as they're helping others and assisting others, I think that they will find it, whatever they're trying to do will be very effective because you're talking a language that people can relate to. Speaking a language that someone can't understand because it shows how intelligent you are or how well versed you are in that language. Well, it's nice to show off, but it's ineffective to your goal. Is your goal to show off or your goal to help somebody? So I always try to speak the language of the person I'm trying to help.
Love that. Now it's powerful. It's really powerful. So what do you sort of like, just I won't take too much more of your time today. I can see you're sitting in the park. You're probably on the way out to do something, on the way home or something. But what would you say? Obviously, we talked a lot about the whole, the health aspect and intermittent fasting, and maybe a little bit more the bolts and nuts of what people can do. But I love that you're sort of like touching base around the mental aspect and all the other factors that's playing a part in us having a successful life at the end, like with ourselves. So what would you say to, yeah?
Sorry. Well, I was going to say, maybe this man, go ahead, answer your question, ask your question first and I'll say.
So what would you say to those people? Great time for it right now. Everybody's kind of like coming out of COVID and like they're going to kind of like get back into something again. What would you say is the best way from your standpoint right now to start getting some success with themselves again? Tangible, measurable success that they can see themselves do on a daily basis. Maybe
set
1,
goals.
2, 3 things that you're doing.
Set 3 goals. The first goal needs to be more to be more physically active, whatever it is,
Mm.
whether it's gardening, exercise, walking, biking. Agree that you're going to be more physically active 30 minutes a day, 4 days a week, number one. Number two, eat more whole grains. Eat more whole grains. A quarter of your plate should be a whole grain, okay? So your plate should look like a quarter whole grain, and half should be fruits and vegetables, and a quarter should be good protein, lean protein.
Mm.
That is a healthy plate that I got from the Harvard School of Public Health. And the last thing I would say to people is find a way to bring yourself mental relief. Mental relief is key. People are too stressed out. You got to find something that you enjoy, whether it's meditation, listening, reading a book, whatever it is that you enjoy. You have to find a way to relax and get time for yourself, watching something on Netflix. Those are three things I think people should do right away getting out of COVID.
Love it, my man. Simple things that people can do, you know. And then, as you said, like, I really love the point you're sending with as well. It's why are we doing it, right? Like, figure out the reasons for why it's important for us to do it. And I think we will start overcoming these obstacles that we're having every single day when we know the benefits of sitting down and be quiet for 10 minutes and meditate, not going on the couch, but go out and walk. And we start getting the feeling and the benefits of doing it, you know. So I absolutely love that. Brother man, where can people find you? And quickly just wrap around, you talked about the books that you're having out right now. You have a new book coming out. I know you have Wolf Point as well. That's a new one.
Yeah. So they can find me on Instagram, obviously, at Dr. Ian Smith. Spell the doctor out, IAN Smith. On Facebook, we got a great group. If you want to lose weight, we got 17,000 people doing it together. It's called Fast Burn Challenge on Facebook. My new book, weight loss book, is called Fast Burn. My book coming out in October, which you can pre-order now on Amazon.com. If you like mysteries and a good read, it's called Wolf Point. So check that out. And next time we get together, I'll bring you on my IG. I'll host you so you can talk to my people too.
For sure, man. I would love to. I love the energy you're sharing, and you know, obviously, as you said, like the down to earth language you're using, so everyday people can understand that it's not hard to lose weight. It's very simple. It's just about figuring out the best way for you now. So I love it, my man. Really, really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, man. Nice talking to you. Okay.
You too, buddy. Talk to you then.
Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.